Upon the passage of a vote of no confidence, the article requires the resignation of the cabinet, including the president. The article goes on to state, among other things, that notwithstanding its defeat, the government shall remain in office and that an election shall be held within 3 months. The court must assume that these bodies and personages will exercise their responsibilities with integrity and in keeping with the unambiguous provisions of the Constitution.
Today, the Caribbean Court of Justice convened to issue what was expected to be some consequential orders. Instead, the President of the Court of Justice, Adrian Saunders, read from the Guyana Constitution and offered mostly suggestions on the way forward for the opposing Guyanese politicians.
The Guyana Elections Commission has the responsibility to conduct that election, and GCOM too must abide by the provisions of the Constitution.
Justice Saunders reiterated that the elections should have been held since March 21st, given the successful passage of the no-confidence motion.
Given the passage of the no-confidence motion on 21st December 2018, a general election should have been held in Guyana by 21st March 2019, unless a two-thirds majority in the National Assembly had resolved to extend that period.
Opposition leader Barra Jack Dio had repeatedly asserted that he will not be returning to Parliament to discuss any extension for the holding of elections. In a direct reply to a request from the opposition leader, Justice Saunders said that the court cannot usurp the role of the president, and specifically that of GCOM, by issuing a date for the ensuing elections.
It would not therefore be right for the court, by the issuance of coercive orders or detailed directives, to presume to instruct these bodies on how they must act and thereby preempt the performance by them of their constitutional responsibilities. It is not, for example, the role of the court to establish a date on or by which the elections must be held.
Justice Saunders said that the Granger administration is now a caretaker government.
The tenure in office of the cabinet, including the president, after the government's defeat, is on a different footing from that which existed prior to the vote of no confidence. The government continues in office as a caretaker government or an interim government until the next elections ensue, and a president is appointed or reappointed depending on the results of that election, unquote. By convention, the government is expected to behave during this interim period as a caretaker and so restrain the exercise of its legal authority.
The court has also ruled that the state, by way of the Attorney General Basil Williams, must pay the court cost for all litigants, both at the local appeal level and at the level of the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Costs in this appeal and in the courts below are to be paid to the appellant and to be borne by the Attorney General.
For Channel 2 Headline News, Wendell Jeffrey.